said about the situation in Israel and probably one of the worst problems is the ensuing anti-Semitism that has been sweeping across the globe. Since October 7th, I wear a bracelet. It's a good luck charm. Letters from love for the hostages. Yellow ribbon. Back to my comment. And of course, my Republican. Important. So I want you to know I am not a trained Middle East expert in any way or form. I served in elected office for 10 years, and I was our candidate for state senate in District 37.
Can you move a little bit so people can see? Move to the side.
Very good, thanks.
So, but I've done a lot of research into this issue. I am a journalist by training, so I am my perspective. So you can see this is kind of hard, but I'll try to point this out. This is according to exit polls. For some reason, they actually had data before 1980, but as you can see here, you can see that Ronald Reagan had the highest Jewish vote of any Republican presidential candidate, and it was only 39%. That's all it was 39%. That was a three-way race. He did worse in 1984, and then George H.W. Bush did somewhat better. But as we go through the years, the number of Jews voting Republican has really not been that high, at least in presidential elections. Trump got 30% according to exit polls. Some exit polls say it's less. There is no monolith in the Jewish community, and the question that I, as a conservative, get all the time is why are so many Jews liberal, and why do they keep voting for the Democrats given the situation with Israel and the fact that the Democratic Party has been actually moving away from Israel for several years. I mean, Obama stabbed Israel back, remember. So my suggestion is to go to YouTube, Google Ben Shapiro, and you will get a very, very good, concise video as to why that's the case, okay? But there might be some changes this year. But a lot of it has to do with how religious one is and how you are, and how much you are conservative. So anyway, we have a lot of division in our community. Look over here. The largest number of Jews now who identify with any kind of movement reform. When I was conservative before I became Orthodox, and I'm not that Orthodox because I wouldn't be talking to you today using electronics. So there's some Orthodox folks who are not what we call Shomer Shabbos and Shomer Kosher. So anyway, the conservative movement has declined. Orthodox community is growing within, and we've just been divided for many, many years, and so essentially the more observant you are, or the more you're involved with Jewish issues at home, or with your federation, or with Israel, the more active you're going to be supportive of Israel, and you're going to be supportive of candidates who support Israel. Not always, but that's generally the case. And a lot of younger people, though, are moving away from the Republican Party. I'm telling you, man.
You show it then.
So basically, that's what I was just saying. Nearly 6 Canada do say that they're very emotional attack, or somewhat emotionally attached to the modern state here in Israel, but under half have been to Israel. So that's a large number of their region didn't sad reality is that the support for American involvement has dropped. Look at this here. 51% of this poll support Biden's decision to withhold arms to Israel. 51% of American Jews. One-third of American Jews agree with the accusations that Israel committed genocide. 60% support the establishment of a Palestinian state. This is a conservative group in Jerusalem. And they basically say that this highlights a community in flux grappling with its traditional liberal values and evolving perspectives on Israel. Yes, the large Jewish community is very liberal, going back to the fact that we were very much oppressed and we got a lot of discrimination, mostly in monarchical governments and, of course, the Nazis and so forth. So, a lot of us are liberal leaning. This is a poll from YouGov that shows the support for a ceasefire has increased. About 2/3 of Americans say the support of ceasefire is somewhat just a half as strong as support. 3/4 of Americans say the support of ceasefire, and actually the majority of Republicans support it. And ceasefire has serious consequences for what that really means. Well, here's the reality. I mean, I've been watching Israel just is not very good at public relations, and it hasn't been for many, many years. Hamas has presented itself as the underdog. They lie and they accentuate these numbers and then refute. There's no way 33,000. The UN even came out and said that more like 20,000, which is too much. I mean, 20,000 civilians killed. It's horrible. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Hamas is pulled up around those civilians. They don't care about the civilians. Also, they even found the 4 hostages the other day who did a refugee center. So what does that tell you right there? So the American left and the media, who wrote by and large liberal, are viewing Jews in Israel as white privilege, even though some 1/3 of Jews on earth are not even white. About half of Jews in Israel are not white. It's far very half. TikTok has been a disaster. And frankly, the Jewish community was very united after the attacks, and it is not using the same kind of brass tactics that the pro-Hamas anti-Semitic groups are using by taking over campuses, buildings. You know, you probably saw the video of them coming on the subway, asking, "Who's a Zionist here?" You know, how would it? It had sort of it reminded me of when the Nazis, "Who's the Jews here?" Or the Jews, you know, like that. I mean, it's really very, very bad. But we're just not that kind of aggressive protesting people, even though there are a number of Jews who did pro-Hamas things. But much of what I think influences American Jewish views is politics. So this was going back to 2021 when Trump was in the dump after the beginning of 1/6 and everything. 27% of American Jews were positive of Trump, and only 31% were positive of Netanyahu. Trump, whenever he makes comments, if you're Jewish and you vote for him, Biden, I say shame on you. That doesn't help the Jewish community. But basically, because essentially my theory is that whether you're Jewish or not, you're liberal, you don't like Netanyahu, and you don't like Trump. They're kind of linked together. Trump was very, very strong on Israel. Just was. I mean, they allowed the embassy to be moved, the American embassy was moved, and they didn't step in on the Golan Heights when Israel annexed it completely. That's up in Syria. The Abraham Accords, that was his initiative. So Trump. But he's a conservative, and so is Netanyahu. So therefore, a lot of liberals, these two just leave a bad taste in their mouths. I mean, it's a shame, but that's the reality. However, we're seeing with the anti-Semitic protests and the attacks and the number of Democrats in elected office who turn their backs on Israel is having an effect. I don't know if you're aware of this, but in February, there was a poll that came out that showed that that it's not just I don't think it's just that. I think it's just the fact that a lot of American Jews, who are comfortable and don't have to deal with bombs and stuff, don't like the economy. They don't like open borders. They don't like, see, President Biden has cognitive and physical limits. So I think that's a lot of it too. It's not the anti-Semitism thing is significant. Fran and I, we go to a Chabad synagogue, and the other night we went to a Jewish party, and there was a young guy there who I had no idea was liberal. He said, "I'm very progressive, but this year I'm telling you, I don't count." And that is really something else. That's just one example where you're going to find a lot of Jewish voters are going to probably vote for maybe the Republican candidate for Senate and House. Very possible. May not vote for Trump, but a lot will. A lot will. So the anti-Semitic incidents are just getting out of control. I mean, a lot of it is because we have a growing Muslim and Arab population in the United States, and they sympathize with the Palestinians. They just do. And they just look away at the atrocities that have been committed by Hamas, and some of them actually celebrate those atrocities. I think we all know about the multiculturalism, the DEI have done to our education system. They've essentially indoctrinated people to think that, you only deserve protected status if you have dark skin or if you're LGBTQ. See, the fact that Jews have been marginalized and almost wiped out with real genocide throughout history is lost on them because we've become so successful. I mean, let's face it, we are successful. And not just in this country, but in Europe and Israel. Israel has become this, technological powerhouse. And so we're not enough, they can't look at us as unrepresented. See, so that's why they're acting out in these horrible ways. The Jewish people were just innocent bystanders. Here's some things that you don't see because I read the Jewish press. I'm a Reid boy. Reid is a Jewish people who, like the strict Orthodox, and where sits it. He came to an emergency room in the UK, was not given a bed, and placed on the floor by nurses wearing 3 Palestine stairs on their gowns. In the San Francisco Bay Area, a number of Jewish parents have raised a number of concerns about K-12 anti-Semitism. There are 350,000 Jews in the Bay Area. Pro-Palestinian posters being displayed in schools, lesson plans portraying Israel as white colonialist aggressors. One student drew a class image of the Star of David with chains, shackling Palestinians. A postcard was sold online depicting Anne Frank saying so much fun with cowboys was sent to an Israeli on bakery and plant. These are not on-campus stuff. This is stuff that's happening to people. 2 dozen Jewish sites were vandalized and converted following Gaza. This was a settlement in North Carolina with the school district for failing to stop a kid from being bullied by anti-Israel students over a 2-year period. The student's not even Jewish, but he was wearing, Israel stuff. 41%, according to the ADL, anti-defamation, this came out with a survey yesterday, 41% have changed same with the minorities, you know, it's like, you know, suddenly where all these Mexicans come from, where all these Central Americans come from, people start thinking, oh my God, they're taking over. It's the same with Jews too, okay? What's more, human psychology reveals that people don't always form beliefs based on facts. Instead, beliefs are shaped by emotions, identity, and social context. And that's what these universities and these radical groups have done. They have bastardized the language to advance their cause on these examples. Confirmation bias, anybody hear about this? Oh, good, because this is our major problem with arguing with people on Facebook, is that even if you throw facts at them, it has a backfire effect. It's like, how dare you contrast my worldview of what something is? So the author concludes that we have to have more events that can bring in. One of the things that conservatives have failed to do, and to a degree is to have movies, art, culture that presents freedom, liberty, religious freedom in a positive way. That is one of our major problems, is that, you know, right before this whole Hamas thing, Rob Reiner, the left-leaning Jew, did a film on Christian nationalism. I mean, I've talked to so many evangelicals. Anybody here a Christian nationalist? Anybody here a evangelical Christian or a Christian Zionist? Anybody in this room? It's a good thing. I mean, you know, there's this woman at Washington, New York Times, Michelle Goldberg, she just created this whole fiction that somehow there is a neo-Nazi takeover of the evangelical and conservative Protestant churches in the United States. But that's in the movie, so people believe this. They believe this.
I can speak about that because I literally have Christian friends who came from you want me to speak up? So imagine this. I have Hong Kong friends, and then they're definitely anti-CCP. They're Christian, and they buy into this Christian nationalism because they believe that once they come to the United States, they're oppressed by the whites, by the nationalists. Can you imagine that? And then that's how I learned about this Christian nationalism because of their Facebook posts. They keep warning their Christian friends, saying that we can be Christian, but we cannot be Christian nationalists. And I had to debunk this. I'm like, there's no such thing. And first, you know, I haven't met any Christian thinking that they're first-tier citizens and the non-Christians are not first-tier citizens. Right. That's basically what, you know, that Christian nationalism thing is about. Yeah.
Peggy Noonan just wrote that people enjoy disliking. So therefore, why not harass a fellow student on campus and treat him as if he's not a human being, or treat people, so nasty to each other, in large part because the COVID lockdown, turned us against each other. Alinsky, our favorite, right? Look what he said here. Look for ways to increase insecurity, anxiety, and uncertainty. The threat is usually more terrifying than the thing itself. Imagine